Hi, thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Hello. How are you? Hi everyone, welcome to another wonderful and obviously interesting edition of the Inside Out Show. Thank you so much, my audience. You're amazing. I love seeing your faces every day I walk into the studio. And of course, people at home, thank you for the feedbacks. Yeah, we're getting a lot of it on our social media pages. And we're getting mails. So the fact that you watch is a huge source of encouragement to us. And surely as this show leaves, we will continue to do better and to, of course, go on educating the Nigerian youth and then other youths across different parts of the world. So Charlie. A friend of mine loves calling you that. They're like, nice Charlie. I'm like, see this one. Are you dating someone?
No. Why is that even the question?
I said I was going to ask it, and then I planned to ask you like upstairs, but I didn't see you upstairs, so it just kind of popped. I'm like, I can't do it. Ladies are loving you.
I'm not dating them. But...
Okay.
I'm still going to search, by the way. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, never mind. So today on the Inside Out Show, it's a youthful show, so we kind of dabble in and out of things, yeah? So today we're discussing juvenile delinquency. Yes, juvenile delinquency. Lately we've noticed an increase in the alarming rate of juvenile offenders, whether from domestic violence or certain atrocities like raping and stealing and vandalization and robbery and assault. Like, the rates are so alarming. We're asking today on the show, why is this going on? What are the punishments for this juvenile? Do you put them in prison? What do you do? How do you rehabilitate them? How do we create a better society? And it's even fair in Nigeria. In countries like the United States of America, you would see all the time news break out. A 19-year-old goes on to, or maybe 19 is not really juvenile, but you would see young people pull out a gun, go to school and kill a lot of people and then kill themselves. And you're wondering, what is going on? So we have our panelists here today to help us discuss juvenile delinquency. And we hope that this show makes a lot of change in the society, because it's about time we get to address this for real. So once again, welcome to the Inside Out Show. You meet our panelists after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Inside Out Show. I'm Sandra. Thank you for joining us. Today we're discussing juvenile delinquency, like I told you earlier. So time to meet our panelists, starting first with Kemi Akintoyese, who is a clinical psychologist. Thank you for being here. And next we have Mr. Saka Abdul, who is Assistant Director, Ministry of Youth and Social Development, Lagos. Thank you for your time today. And we have SP Chike Oti, who is Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer. Thank you for being here. And finally, Mr. Seun Abimbola, Program Manager, Destiny Trust Foundation. Thank you. Okay, so obviously the reason we decide, I'm sure we're all very familiar with this, you are stuck in Lagos traffic and then someone just hits your car, or someone is walking around, you know, looking at you, studying you, and you're not sure what to do. You're just sort of looking and you're wondering. And most times when you look at children, people who do this, they are usually underage. That's if we're judging by appearances. And most times if, you know, but let's leave the instance. So let's start first with definition of juvenile. Right, let me start with you, Kemi.
When we're talking about juvenile, we're talking about people who are usually below the age of 18. That's the people, that's the category that's referred to as being juvenile. So they are not answerable to anything under the law. They cannot be judged, they cannot be tried. So under the category, they are referred to as juvenile because they are under 18, which is a statutory age for adulthood in this country.
Okay. Yeah. And then juvenile delinquency, what is that?
Okay. So when we're talking about juvenile delinquency now, we're now talking about committing acts, people within this juvenile age committing criminal act, or oftentimes not totally criminal in itself, but sometimes we call them statutory offenses like smoking or walking away or getting involved in armed robbery or things like that. So when we're talking about juvenile delinquency, we're talking about people who are underage getting into crime, violent behavior, aggressive behavior, and all what.
Okay, thank you. PDRS, from the eyes of the law, would you like to add something to the definition or what juvenile delinquency means?
Yeah, I would like to start by the word juvenile is no longer fashionable with us. We prefer to call them children.
Okay.
Because under the child right law, find a child as somebody who is under the age of 18 years. So,
but isn't that the same definition with juvenile?
Yeah, but we formally, the law defines a child in some laws, say 12 years, under the 12 years, 14 years, but now anybody under the age of 18, 17 years to a day to your 18 years, you're still a child. And so when you commit an offense as a child, we call it a child offender.
Okay.
We call it, address as a child offender.
All right, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't call them delinquents, we call them child offenders. We have child victim, child offender, and a child witness.
Okay.
Yeah. So when a child does anything contrary to the law, we have a specialized section of the police force right now that deals with each issue of children. We call them the gender section. So they have experts there that handles the issue relating to children. That is for the people in the bracket I mentioned now. So they are trained to attend to such children, and if there's any need to take them up, we can process them to the family court, where their issues are addressed.
So there's a special arm of the police that takes care of child offenders.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I think I want to get each of you your pulse on the reason why there is an increase in the number of child offenders. Mr. Saka, let me get to you. What do you think, considering your office and the number of cases you get, what do you think is the major cause of this increase?
Abandonment of parental care is one major issue. And the parents believe they can easily transfer the responsibility to other people, like house help, not knowing that the house help too could be a cause. Aside that, they also believe that the school too has the sole responsibility of taking the care of the child, transferring the responsibility of
Doesn't the school have a certain level of responsibility when it comes to taking care of the child?
The first responsibility of child care,
okay, falls on the parents.
Falls with the parents. Is what you take from home that you take out. That is one of the major issues. Added to that is the peer influence. Then we have this social media influence. Parents never care to look at what their parents, what the children are watching. Are
consuming on social media.
Exactly. Then the type of friends they keep, what these friends are into, they never care. They are so busy with economic issue, coming home late, leaving home early, leaving the children with whoever care. Unlike then, when the communal issue is very, very important. What is in the vogue now is me and my family. You never care. At times you lock them in. The children find their way out, do whatever they do. At the end of the day, you find them becoming another thing.
Now, moving to you, Seun, I understand you run a Destiny Trust Foundation, which is a rehabilitation home. You have a different experience of child offenders. Each and every one of us have encountered them on different levels. So for you, based on your encounter, what is the major cause?
Firstly, I would want to align with what they've said. The issue of absent parenthood is one of the major causes. The idea of being absent, not necessarily because they are engaged or maybe because they are irresponsible. There are some whose parents are dead. You know, we have orphans in our midst also, who in a bid to carve a niche, a living for themselves, engage in practices that are sort of antisocial. And there's also the issue of poverty. You know, we go on outreaches to slums and communities, I mean, for people who are within the low income grade. There is that hunger, you know, for many of the children who feel that they have been neglected by the society. There is that apparent behavior, rude behavior to get back at the society, you know, for abandoning them, for not giving them the hope that they, you know, the desire, the life, the legitimate life that they feel that they deserve. So sometimes the fact that there is no money, the fact that they have to scrape through the environment to get something to eat, to stand on their feet, could also be one of the reasons why they get into this. And so because of that, they also stay in an environment that does not encourage comfort, that does not encourage love. And what they see, it's not you know, a group of people who are models to them. I mean, sexual perversions around, people who smoke. And those are the immediate models that they see. So you see most of these kids, you know, becoming offenders because that is what dominates their immediate environment. So apart from absence of parents, it's the issue of poverty is also a major cause of child offenders.
Okay.
Coming up next on the show.
You can be in a family where the vicious circle of domestic abuse is apparent.
To a child at a tender age, what message, what
Passing across.
are you passing?
And that's why a child will see a girl and, oh, I want to have sex with this girl now. And then he goes all out and have sex with that girl. Because all along, growing up, this child was not allowed to understand that you need to delay your gratification.
Now, when it comes to poverty, obviously a child who grows up in a poor environment, you can't blame the child that they grew up there, right? And you can't really blame the parent, because I'd like to believe that the parent is working hard. So Kemi, this is to you. They've pointed out parents and environment, and is there, because I'm sure, I don't have the statistics now, but I'm sure that if we run the statistics, you would see people, teenagers who come from a good family, and just for some reason they just run out or live on the streets or just do something or rape a fellow teenager, or maybe even an older person, and you're wondering, how? But you're the child of this person, and I know your parents. How? What happened? So the cause, is it really, does it go beyond the parent to the individual themselves?
Yeah, it does. But then we still lay it at the door of the parent. You know why?
Why?
There's something we call parenting style. There is the laissez-faire, there is the neglectful, there is the permissive, there is the authoritarian. Sometimes children learn from all of this. When you say, I want this, you give the child. You go all out to give the child without letting the child understand that sometimes you need to delay gratification. A child grows up and have a sense of entitlement. I want, this is all that, it's me. And that's why a child will see a girl and, oh, I want to have sex with this girl now. And then he goes all out and have sex with that girl. Because all along, growing up, this child was not allowed to understand that you need to delay your gratification. Even when you want it, there is a need for you to, and also under that, the parenting style too, you have children who tend to talk, yes, we call it tantrum at that low age. Children, I want these, they start crying, and then rather than tell them, no, stop that, sit down there, some form of behavior modification. We say, oh, sorry, you can have it now. And then the child sees it, that each time I cry, my mom will always give me. And so they use that medium, and then they want to just get it. And so they have always learned, they have always learned that when they do acts like that, they would always get what they want. And so because there is no check, there is nothing, nobody curtails them, they go out to do it. All they have said, they are factors. But then another important thing is, sometimes one that I've discovered in the course of my work is that sometimes when these children act aggressively, or sometimes when they behave irrationally, it's a cry for help. It's a cry for attention. They are trying to tell, I am here. see me. All that they need is somebody to spank them, somebody to caution them. But there is oftentimes there is nobody, and so they continue that act. Sometimes like, oh, I am doing this because by the time I finish committing an act, at least everybody would come and then they will see me and then they will understand that I need help.
Sometimes you actually spank them. I remember this particular guy in my secondary school back then. Everybody knew him as the offender. It's either he's bullying a student or he's insulting a teacher or he's stealing. They would always call him out during assembly. You've
because
committed this offense.
At that time, it was too late. At that time, sometimes when it starts very early and then you're able to detect it, a behavioral change usually starts with a behavioral change. The moment you're able to pick it and then you nib it at the bud, then it won't continue. But when it becomes a pattern and then the child sees it as acceptable, the child sees it as at least they are calling me out all the time because of things I'm doing, he enjoys it. He gets gratification from it and then he keeps doing it. So he wants attention, he's getting attention, and that is all that he wants. So for him, he can keep doing it. He doesn't care what happens at the end of the day. And so these are some of the things. But like we said, it starts from that low age. Sometimes 2, 3. But then if it's not nipped.
That young?
That young, yes, that young. So if it's not nipped at the bud, then you find out that there are a lot of issues.
Okay. Sorry, let me have Seun make a contribution before you ask the question.
Yes, I'm just thinking, just because we see parents involved in a child's life does not mean that they necessarily offer the child the love and care that it needs or it deserves.
Okay.
You know, you can be in a family where the vicious circle of domestic abuse is apparent. And if a child grows within that kind of environment, there's every tendency that, you know, it lives life with that potential, bullying, lifestyle, just because he or she wants to neutralize every potential threats that might come to him or her. So sometimes we also need to understand is that as much as it's also some form of behavioral change, it also could be an extension of the experiences that such child is having in his immediate family. I mean, that's...
Okay. All right. Answer it, please.
I want to add that societal value have a great role to play. What we see as value, even the medias are not helping. What you show on TV, what we the individual perceive as being our value, maybe within the society, within the family itself. And the children learn by imitating.
Pretty fast.
They learn, they believe what you are doing as their parent is the best. What do you expect a child that a father sent to buy cigarettes and father never care to smoke this cigarette or whatever, drink and do whatever? To a child at a tender age, what message
Passing across.
are you passing to this child? So it all depends on what we see as value as a society, as an individual, as an organization.
Charles.
All of you have pointed out the fact that absentee parents and certain behaviors of parents are the catalysts for children behaving in a certain kind of way. But my question is, I want to be more practical. So I know this person personally, actually, and he grew up in the best family you can imagine, from provision to training and all of those things, and morals and things like that. And they were consistently surrounded by things like that. In fact, it was so bad that some of us that didn't get all of things we wanted would always say, I wish I was here. But then again, their parents were always available. The parents were the types that would not readily give when they wanted, and even say no and give them reasons. It was that kind of training. But out of all the children that these couple had, one of them was actually not in sync. So that brings me to my question: why, in that kind of situation, that kind of scenario, why is it that a child will still fall out even amidst all of those proper quote unquote training?
Let me take that. There is individual differences in life, and there is something we call personality traits. But then our personality don't just come out of the blues. The precursors are the environment and hereditary. Every child that is born comes with what we call a clean slate, tabula rasa, experiences right on it. It talks about the value, writes on it. It talks about...
So, a child born doesn't come with the personality?
It's like life has provided the basic ingredients to form that. But then that's why you will see a child who is born by maybe an armed robber. If he's taken to America to stay with the president, it won't turn out to be, it will turn out well.
I get it.
You understand? Because environment will now come to shape this individual. It's going to shape this individual in such a way that it's not going to turn out well. J.B. Watson, who is a proponent of behavioral modification and all that we follow in psychology, says, give me 20 children. Some of robbers, prostitutes, whatever, then I'm going to turn them into whatever it is I want. I'm going back to his question. Every child has this inborn trait, tendencies, habits that they want to display. They react differently to environmental pressures. They react differently to experiences. And so it's now the onus falls on the parent to now begin to understand each child. Each child is different. Each child is unique. Even when you have 4, 10, how many numbers? So the fact that all of them, all the other 9 did very well and 1 didn't do well is because there's something deficient in this child that should be worked on. And when that is not worked on, then the individual is going to break down. There's something we call conduct disorder. At the early age, for us, before 18, we are using juvenile delinquency because that's the term when we talk about law. But when we come to psychology now, what we talk about is conduct disorder. At that age, when that child is showing some emotional reaction, instability, in being not able to delay gratification, impulsiveness, restlessness, these are core signs that there is something wrong with this child.
Is idleness one of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Not willing to do anything. These are core signs. Emotional apathy. Everybody is crying because somebody stole another person. You're just laughing all over the place. These are core signs that something is wrong with this child. But unfortunately, because we don't have that maybe knowledge or know-how in this part of the world, we just assume it's normal. So a child that is laughing when the friend fall down, so you are bad, you're this, and then we now say walk away. But those are traits, these are indicators that something is not right with this child.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next on the show.
It is right under the law to put a child in a protective custody.
I didn't go back to the street, no, but I was still at that particular place I was living. But I didn't used to be like what I used to be any longer.
Those we find that are lacking educationally are engaged in vocational training.
So what are the advices? How exactly do they operate, these child offenders? Okay, now the next question is to you, PPRO sir. You work first in hand with these child offenders, and when you go out there, you would realize that most times they're not the ones who just willingly go and commit the offense. There was this incident that happened in a neighborhood one time that robbers used the children they're like working for them low-key. They would use them as setup before they come in to operate, or they send them out to survey it. So what are the advices? How exactly do they operate, these child offenders?
All right. The Nigerian police force is wired to protect the rights of children. The children have their rights. No adult should use a child to facilitate the commission of a crime, or use the child to bring him into criminal acts. If such is done, it's against the right of the child, and the police has the right to arrest such an individual and prosecute such an individual. Yes. So some of the rights of children, they have right to personal dignity. They have right to survival and protection. When parents can't afford to provide that protection for these children, it exposes them to moral danger. It exposes them because a child has right to shelter. When a child is not properly sheltered and the child lives in the midst of people who can easily influence that child, and adults interact with these children freely because of the kind of environment these children have found themselves in, that makes them prone to be used, or makes them amenable to the manipulation of whoever that wants to use them to catalyze a crime or something like that.
Okay, and so when they are caught, what is their sanction? How do we deal with them?
Yeah,
because truth is, right? I was having a discussion. I'm not going to point it out here because I don't have the video clip of it. When we went to a certain police station, there were teenagers there, child offenders. They were there. Should they be arrested and put in prison? Well, maybe not prison, jail. Which was the one you hold them back for like 3 days or thereabouts? Is that prison?
Custody.
Or jail? Yeah?
Custody.
Yeah, held in custody. Is that? Thank you. Is that the right approach? What is the sanction?
It is good. It is right under the law to put a child in a protective custody. But it should not be there
within the police station.
Yeah, if we have the facility, yes. If that police station has the facility, there are designated police stations in Lagos State where you have, that have been upgraded to take care of children's issue. If we have such children with us, we put them where they will not be, where they will not have, any kind of interaction with adult offenders. You get the point. So, it is right, yes, under the law. When a child commits a crime, we bring the child. The people in the specialized unit, like I told you now, we have the gender section. They know how to interact with those children. You don't interact with them like you interact with normal adult criminals. They talk to them politely, kindly, make them friends, and make them to say what they want to hear from them.
Under Ministry of Youth and Development, what is the right sanction for them?
We as a ministry, we don't have the right to sanction. All we do is to look for offenders through what we call a rescue team from the ministry, take them up and take them to the appropriate authority, which is the police and the court, for necessary action. And at the ministry, we have different homes for rehabilitation depending on your age and your gender.
Okay.
At these centers, we don't just keep them there, we engage them positively. Those within the school age are sent to school.
They're sent to school within the house, within the rehabilitation home?
No, depending. If at the rehabilitation, some of our rehabilitation homes have primary schools. But beyond that, they go outside the rehab home for normal school days and what have you, going and coming. We have vehicles that take them to school, bring them back to. We have some of them doing fine at the university level. We have undergraduate engineering, medicine, and what have you. And aside that, those we find that are lacking educationally are engaged in vocational training.
So basically what you do is sometimes you put them in home and then you help to put them in school.
Yes.
So how about the people who, there is a case of, so you know what, I would rather, Tai, this is Tai, would you like to share a story with us, please?
I was living with my twin brother and my mom at the Bar Beach. We used to live in the shanty, and we had no hope. I had never thought I would be somewhere like this. It was because of the Destiny Trust. I am able to speak like this. When I was younger, I know of child offenders, short. I have had incidences of people, my friends, that have committed one offenses or the other, that have been taken to juvenile court. Even I have been taken to the juvenile court, and I've been taken to a remand home for about 6 months because of a crime I didn't commit. I didn't even know I had committed a crime or something like that. At the home, basically, I didn't enjoy it though. I thought it was a punishment. But
What was the crime you got picked for that you didn't commit?
Actually, at the time, I didn't understand what we were talking about, though. So someone that was packed with us that went to school and understood English, that later had explained to us that he heard that we were caught stealing on the road. We were picking people's money from their bags on the road. They even mentioned that they even saw us at Oshodi. They've never even been to at that time. I was even surprised when it was narrated, the incidents. So I stayed there for 6 months. Then when I left...
You stayed in the home?
In the home for 6 months.
Okay.
And I realized that they actually did a great job because they rehabilitated...
Sorry, when you were captured, who captured you? What did they do to you? How did you end up in the home?
I was on the streets one day. Though. I was just on the streets walking. Then some police guys came and took us in a bus. And they took us to Oregon Boys Center. Yes. Then I stayed there for 6 months. I was in school. They taught me things that I don't even know about. They even disciplined us. They flogged us on the first day we got there. I thought I was a criminal at that time. All
right. So after the process, did you ever go back out on the streets or... Hold on, we'll get there. After the whole disciplinary process and going back, being rescued, did you ever go back to the street?
I didn't go back to the street though, but I was still at that particular place I was living. But I didn't used to be like what I used to be any longer.
Okay, all right, thank you. So PPR also asked, what year was this?
I can't recall the year, but it should be around 2010, 2011. So.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much. Okay, this is the Inside Out Show, and we'll be right back right after the break. Stay with us.
Coming up next on the show.
After your trial, your rehabilitation, they would go back to the street.
Some of them are very rash. Oh, the next thing is to slap that person. No, but then you teach them how to now take a pause.
All right, Nigerian police, we do not set out to go start looking for children to arrest children. We rescue children, we don't arrest children.
Now, for those whose situation are so dire, we get them into the house. And that's why someone like Chike could find his way into the house.
So this is one of the situations. He didn't go back to the street. Now, there are other people that if you speak to them, they will tell you, I don't want this. After your trial, your rehabilitation, they would go back to the street because that is where they feel they belong. How do we deal with people like this? Kemi, what is the best approach to them?
It's a big one. It's really a big one. Because like we said earlier on, we have ranging from conduct disorder, moving into antisocial personality, sometimes as a result of environment, sometimes as a result of genetics. And so we have to now learn to what is the causative factor here now to begin to now deal with this issue. Luckily for him, he got helped and he accepted the help. Oftentimes you find out that the home sometimes does more damage than what is even expected. Some of them come out worse. And then they now go back to the street worse because they have learned other vices. Sometimes too, I haven't been to any of their homes, so I don't know the structure or what is in place. But getting them off the street is not enough as much as finding appropriate intervention. Yes, you could take them to school. You could take them to learn how to do one skill or the other. But then what we're dealing with is about a cognitive dysfunction. These people don't see themselves as being acceptable. They don't see themselves as being lovable. It's a thing of the mind. So you have to learn to wash that off and then allow them to now begin to think properly before you now release them back. If that is not done, they go back to the same way because they still want acceptance from people outside. We have a facility in Yaba where I work, And you see a lot of people who had moved from one level of conduct disorder to antisocial personality. And unfortunately, antisocial personality is one personality disorder that is not easy to deal with. It is not, because it's a lifelong disorder, and then it wanes with old age. So when somebody now, that's why you see people on the streets who are like touts. By the time they now start reaching like 50, 60 thereabout, you start seeing them, they're withdrawing from some of this hat. That is the trend. That is the usual trend. They are very evasive, they are liar, they can deceive, and a whole lot of other things. So you have to put them into a structured therapy session. And that is what, if it's available in the home, will help a whole lot of them. A structured therapy session where you teach them how to delay gratification, you teach them about problem-solving skill, you teach them how to make decisions. Some of them are very rash. Oh, the next thing is to slap that person. No, but then you teach them how to now take a pause, look at the situation, assess it before you now act out, before you now reach out, before you now take the next step. And these are some of the things that has to be put in place to be able to help people like that to be able to move out of.
Thank you. And Seun, obviously you have an institution that you run preventive measures. What exactly is the process? What exactly do you do there in details?
Basically, we start with outreaches. Sometimes we do that twice every year.
Outreach to communities,
slums,
schools,
low-grade communities, just to interact with children who are out of school. Because our own intervention is primarily about giving education to children. So we go to these communities and interact with kids who are out of school. We try to know why they are out of school. Because for some people, it's not just about inability to have money, to pay school fees or get uniforms. It could be because of one experience they had with a teacher at a particular school, and they tell you that, I don't want to go back to that school, the teachers there are wicked. So we profile those kids, and we try to find schools for them that will absorb them. Oftentimes, they are public schools that we have some kind of partnership with. Last year, for example, our outreach was to Labokile Estate, somewhere in Lekki, around Marua, and we were able to profile 150 children. And by bringing 150 children to a school, what you're ultimately doing is that you're already stretching the facility that is not even there for the schools. So we enter some kind of partnership with the school. We could refurbish maybe 2 or 3 classrooms, get you new desks, instructional materials. For the children, we get them uniforms, we get them bags, we get them books, and we ensure that we sustain what we are doing. Because most of the time people do all of these interventions, slums, go to slums and get them to school, and it's just a one-off intervention, but that doesn't really help. So, for example, we propose after-school centers where we still go back after they come back from schools to interact with these kids, if possible, when the financial capacity is there, to feed them. Because one of the ways to keep children in school is to feed. Now, for those whose situation are so dire, we get them into the house. And that's why someone like Tai could find his way into the house. The same Tai that probably because of the prevalent experiences while he was growing up, he had violent tendencies. I mean, look at him talking calmly, because he found a home where love, warmth, brought the best out of him. And he is a testimony to the fact that if children are placed in the right environment, we believe that the best can come out of them. So our intervention is primarily education. For some, because we can't bring everybody into the house. I mean, our own facility too is stretched. We care. We also do family empowerment. I mean, for families that we feel that, okay, you guys, the issue is just about setting up. Why don't we just set you up, resettle you, leave the slum, but make sure that these children go to school? Because we feel, and this is research has been proven, that when a child is educated, there are 90% chances that he or she would not become a child offender. And that's where we believe our own intervention is really, really key. Educate a child and save the future.
Right. Now, PPR, how do you make an arrest? How do you arrest a child offender? Because I listened to what Tai said, and he was arrested for a crime he didn't even commit, right? The vehicle just came and just whoosh, there you go, into the vehicle and then next to the home. And he has parents. And I believe he was picked up without the consent of the parents. And how do you ensure you don't arrest the wrong people just because you see them on the street?
All right, Nigerian police, we do not set out to go start looking for children to arrest children. We rescue children, we don't arrest children. My Commissioner of Police, Mr. Edgar Mohimi, is in the forefront of this. There have been instances where we get a call from concerned neighbors that a child is locked up in a house or is being maltreated by, by the guardian or the parents. My CP will leave his office and go there to take that child out of that house. There's a case we did last time. A child was locked up inside a room, and then the madam or the mistress left some biscuits, cabin biscuits. So when she's hungry, she would take that cabin biscuit, and she traveled, And then the information came to us. My CP led, and we broke the door because we have power of ingress. We broke the door and got that child out. I think what happened in this case is, like he said, he mentioned the offense they committed. Perhaps police came because of that particular offense to arrest the.
He didn't know,
but he told you now that an adult, he works with an adult, in the business of, taking things out of people's pocket. And maybe when police came for such characters and they found these children with them, of course they would take all of them. But when they get to the police station, what do they do at the police station? To take the man aside and keep the child aside and attend to the child. That's why he didn't find himself in the jail, but he found himself in a reform home. Under the law, you don't jail the children. We don't say a child is jailed under the Child's Right Act or law.
Until you're 18.
Yes, there's a division of labor. I think they take care of children. We protect children's rights. That's our basic duty, protection of their rights. So what we do when we process them to court, they take them to these homes where they are taken care of. We don't jail them. So there's no way, there won't be, I don't think it would be right for anybody to say that Nigerian police infringes on the rights of children when we know. If you've been following us, if you've followed the Commissioner of Police activities in Lagos State in the recent past, you will see that he's been in the forefront of not only protecting these children, but giving them hope. As I speak with you now, there's a child in the police college clinic being attended to by police doctors. What happened to this child was that because I want to stop my own on the abused level of children, that's where we are.
Okay.
The child was abused, maltreated by the mistress, or by her madam, as they used to say. Was burnt out with an iron, red hot iron, pressed it on this girl's legs and hands. The information came to us, to the Commissioner of Police, and he ordered that the woman should be arrested, detained, and by Monday she will have a day in the courts. While he ordered that the child should be taken to police college clinic and should be cared for. Right now, the child is still under police custody because she's in police hospital. That's a form of custody, not in the cell. So the child is being cared for by our doctors, fed by the police, and by Monday, after when they go to the family court, I think the judge will decide what happens next. But I know at the end of the day, the child may find herself in their care. That's how we work. It's a departmental.
This is the Inside Out Show. When we come back, we're discussing preventive measures further, and of course, we'll hear from our audience. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on the show.
Said it's better to prepare the youth than to repair the adults.
We are aware that in doing what we are doing, innocent people might be involved. But we know that we have a process of sieving this seed out of the shaft.
In the church, before you do wedding, during the courtship, please educate the parents.
Get more information so that you can equip the next person next to you. If you can handle your own family, then it moves like that.
Welcome back. The Inside Out Show. We are discussing child offenders, whatever you choose to call it. Charles, let's have your question.
Yes. You said something earlier about, I don't know how it works now, whether they bring these children to your safe house or you pick them up. Now, whatever the case is, I mean, every child, for whatever child that comes into your care, has a home he or she comes from. Now, when you harbor these children, do you, I'm looking for the right word, sort of get permission from their parents to do so? Do you carry them along? Do they know why you're doing what you're doing? Do you also educate them as regards, you know, issues like this and why you're doing what you're doing for their children?
Oh, sure, we do that. If not, that would sound like us poaching the kids. So we do talk to parents, and for those that do not have visible parental care
or guardians,
we find guardians actually, or family members. I mean, they may even be staying far away from here. We go all the way to look for them, because you cannot approach the court without getting consent. I mean, from someone who is like a guardian or parent. We also get police reports. I mean, we have a file for each child in the house, and in that file you will find police reports that we got concerning the children. We'll find court order that allows us to keep them in the house. In fact, these children, we appear before the magistrate court every now and then to give a report of our care program for them. And the magistrate also, you know, interviews them just to be sure that they are enjoying the best of care. You know, you ask them that, are you abused? I mean, did they feed you well? Are you going to school? So it's not a unilateral running of show. That is, we have to carry all the government agencies along. And we also report to the ministry. You know, he was talking about the fact that we register with them every month. We report to the ministry about the happenings,
progress.
Yes, activities and all of that within the house. So yes, we educate, and we have to do what we are supposed to do to ensure that they get the life they deserve and desire.
Okay. Okay, time to hear from my audience. I'm sure you all have a lot to say. I'll try to take as many people as I can. Let's have you, ma'am.
The problem basically lies on the parent. Now the issue is, in this part of the world, how many parents have the knowledge before being a parent? How many of them know what it is to be a parent? Now we are pushing all the blames on them, but they don't have the basics. So now, the basic thing, the advice I'll give to the government and to our NGOs is, please, go to the churches where the parents are. Go to the mosques. Go to the communities. Educate the parents. In the church, before you do wedding, during the courtship, please educate the parents. Whatever, in the hospital where they go for antenatal, educate the parents on how to bring up their child.
To the PPRO, I know that we have a system which will help young people get better. And I'm aware that SP Dolapo Badmos, there's a program the police is putting up. The police will be talking about cultism, internet fraud, and drug dealings. I don't know if you have such awareness program, you know, having them repeatedly, so that, like I was telling her, I said it's better to prepare the youth than to repair the adults. Then I want to also finally talk about the social media. We need to improve on our censoring. Okay, censor what our children, you know, have access to, feed their eyes on and all that. And beyond censoring, we should have mentoring. So we shouldn't just be censoring, we should apply mentoring to it, and they'll get better. Thank you.
We have a commissioner of police that has gone around, you know, we sectorized Lagos State into area commands. My commissioner has gone around all the area commands holding town hall meetings. What is town hall meeting? Where he meets with the people, the community, talk with them, hear from them, and they hear from him also. They tell them this is where we want police to come in, intervene, and then I think there's nothing more than that. You know, that's a part of crime prevention strategies.
All these juvenile problem, the child offending of a thing, all start from have a grassroots. And most of them are all psychological problem. If every family, we have a psychologist that can, you know, look into the problem in each family, I think all this will reduce. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, I think people have a lot of opinion. People have a lot of things to say. I'm sorry I couldn't take every single comment. So right now, I'll just let you all share your final thought and your advice before we wrap up the show. So starting with you, Seun, final thoughts on child offenders.
Well, I think I just want to sound this note of advice to everyone to support in every way they can to ensure that we help the children. I know UNICEF at one point said that over 10.5 million Nigerian children are out of school, and the potential for the increase in that number in the next 5 years could probably spiral to 20 million, considering how much our population is growing. I mean, there are several rehabilitation centers, NGOs that are taking care of kids, ensuring that we take them off the streets. Those are preventive measures. I would want to advise us to get involved, support, donate, visit. I mean, in your own individual space, try and influence somebody. I mean, everybody's talking about the government agencies, talking about the police force. The question I'm asking myself here is, what are we doing individually to ensure that this menace is curbed? So I guess in that point, I want everybody to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Police is your friend. A friend is that person who keeps awake when you are sleeping. A person is that who goes into danger when every other person is running out of that danger. We police Lagos State very well.
We agree that police in Lagos State is doing a great job.
Yeah,
yes,
we are talking about 200 boys that we are.
The police goes beyond Lagos State. It's Nigerian police force.
No, I'm talking about Lagos State. I'm the spokesperson of the police in Lagos State. I can talk about what we do here authoritatively.
That is
I know that we went into a place that got about 200 youths, half out of their minds because of drug, where they're going on initiation rights. We apprehended them and we have processed some of them to where they should be. You know, so these are some of the things we do. When we talk about raiding, drastic situation require drastic action. When we come, we are aware that in doing what we are doing, innocent people might be involved. But we know that we have a process of sieving the seed out of the shafts. And that's what we do. We don't deal with innocent people. We deal with the ones who are,
Mr. Saka.
Yeah, thank you. On a final note,
yes.
The issue of child offender is on the increase. Government on its own side are trying their best. The law agency are also trying. I just want to tell each and every one of us that government alone cannot do it. So stakeholders, especially the NGOs, and more importantly, the media house should join in the fight. You have a great role to play. And to the family, yes, the battle still continues.
Thank you. And finally, Kemi.
All right, thank you. I will say for every one of us who are here today, let's be the voice. Be the voice that will carry this message to the larger society. We all have a role to play. We don't have enough psychologists even for Lagos State. Talk to more of every family. But you have been empowered. Empower somebody. Give them that information. You have learned it. Then we shouldn't expect to find you perpetrating crime or any other thing again. So do it. Research out, get more information so that you can equip the next person next to you. If you can handle your own family, then it moves like that until we are able to affect Nigeria, and then we now get a better place.
I think what I would say is that there should be, I support the notion that there should be a school for parenting. I know there is no single approach to parenting, yes. And yes, it's important that we have a school, because one thing I've noticed on all the while that, you know, we're running this show, The Inside Out, is for every issue that is brought up, 90% of the issues it goes down to the home. It has to do with the parents, the family, the teachers or something, but most times it is the parent. Okay, on that note, we wrap up today's edition of the Inside Out Show. Thank you to our partners, DJ Rabiu, Beauty by Malisha Fortneys, Aquadana, KGM Nigeria Limited, Baker's World, Deli Foods. Thank you all for being partners with us on this show. And to every single person who goes online to put up comments and to watch our videos on YouTube, that's the Inside Out Show. That's our handle on YouTube, and on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, The Inside Out Show. Thank you so much for posting your comments. We really do appreciate it. Get the word out for each episode you watch. If it makes a lot of sense to you, which of course it should, yeah, you should go out and share the videos and subscribe, of course. So thank you for listening to today's edition of The Inside Out Show. Thanks for watching. God bless you. See you next time. Bye.